They're not gonna win any awards, but they're fun.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Hit the Books Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Holcomb.
And I'm Emery Saunders.
And I am Nick Marlatt.
And we are here to run you through all the nerdy news you need to know this week. I totally stole that tagline. I'm not ashamed of it. As you guys know, we have returned from the depths of hell and pandemic orchestrated quarantine and exodus from general daily life.
But we're back.
This is our third
Mostly.
This is our third episode back, post July 4th weekend. We are now kind of on a short week, so there's not a ton of news to go through this week, but I imagine we're probably going to ramble more than we need to anyway.
No.
So you got plenty of show coming up, and we hope you enjoy it. Of course, if you like the show, please give us a like and subscribe on our YouTube channel and give us a nice rating elsewhere. It really does help us out. You can find us on Stitcher, on Podbean, on Spotify, on various other podcast services of your choice, Apple Podcasts. And we hope to be on some more avenues via Facebook and a few extra social medias coming up. You can always find us on Twitter at HTBvids, on Facebook at /HitTheBooks, and you can always email us at hitthebooksvids, VIDS, @gmail.com. So feel free to reach out to us with any feedback, constructive criticisms, questions for the show, anything like that. Feel free to reach out. All right, jumping into it. I think we all know what's kind of the elephant in the room. Thor,
I haven't seen
Love
it
and
yet.
Thunder. Emery and I have seen it.
I have not
Nick
seen
has
it
not.
yet. Because it just came out yesterday.
It did.
At time of recording, it just came out yesterday, and I have small children.
Yep.
Officially speaking, it came out today,
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
but everybody does
yeah.
this
Release
Thursday.
dates, yeah.
Release day and dates.
See it early.
Earplugs.
It's very strange. So we obviously won't talk about any spoilers or anything like that. It's a very recent movie, but we probably do have a general review coming up very soon.
Oh,
as
absolutely.
a separate episode. But spoilers aside, Emery, what's your general impression of the movie?
General impression, unbalanced. If I'm going to say anything about the movie is that there's, a very heavy comedic element to the movie that was leaned much further into than any other element in the movie. That said, there are some good performances, particularly from Christian Bale, which is surprising given that I was expecting a little more from either Thor 1 or Thor 2 in this movie.
Yeah, fair.
But,
I gotta say, I'm excited to watch Christian Bale in this role. I think from what the teasers and the trailers that I've seen, I feel like even without seeing the movie, he probably carries the entire thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
he
I would-
makes a very creepy villain, and that's exactly the kind of villain that these heroes need in order to contrast against their
And
goofy antics.
and it's good to see Christian Bale finally playing a dark, broody character.
Yeah, he never does that, so it's refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him play one before. I don't know. I don't know why they're just getting to it now, but maybe he has a future with playing characters like that.
Yeah,
Does the real question, I'm Gore. Does it work? No?
Yeah, no, it's not really a thing.
yeah, it was. My general impressions are pretty much the same as yours. They leaned way too heavy into the kind of potty humor that the Marvel Universe is starting to become synonymous with. And Waititi, the way he directed it is very punch. It's like they don't give you time to breathe because they're jumping to the next scene. So everything that should have emotional weight of any kind is either ruined by a potty joke or it's ruined by him jumping to the next scene immediately. With just nothing
Yeah.
can breathe in this movie.
I have a quick question from somebody who hasn't seen it yet. So we just came off of two, in my opinion at least, and I'm pretty sure it's a fairly unanimous opinion. I could be wrong though. Between Spider-Man and then Doctor Strange 2, we just came off of two fantastic Marvel movies. So my question is, do you think this movie would have done better if you weren't going into it after seeing those two?
No.
No? It's not an expectation thing. It's just
No,
not good.
I mean, Marvel has 20 years of expectations that have
That's
been
true.
built. You know, even predating like the current official Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, there's still the Spider-Man movies with Sony and the X-Men movies with Fox. So there is a certain level of expectation there, and I don't think they quite lived up to it with this. I think they noticed how much positive attention they got with Thor Ragnarok in particular,
That's
as
fair.
opposed to the first two Thor movies, which are generally regarded as very mid to lower
Yes.
tier Marvel movies.
Yeah.
But they just, I feel like they took what little depth Thor has as a character generally, and just like threw it out the window altogether.
Thor is a great supporting character, I believe. And that's nothing against Chris Hemsworth. I think Chris Hemsworth is fantastic in the role. But in my personal opinion, Thor has always been great in the group team-up movies. But he does not hold my interest very much as a solo character.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah.
I think they do a good job. I honestly don't think any of this is really on the writers. I think it's completely on Waititi. Is that-
Yeah. Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi. Just his style of editing and directing a film, because they give both the villain and the hero and the co-hero a lot of moments of depth, like solid emotional moments or moments that should be emotional. But again, it's just like that he doesn't let anything breathe or stagnate or any.
Sure.
Like, you can't absorb what just happened because he's already jumping to the next potty joke, or the next F-bomb, just for the sake of dropping an F-bomb.
Fair.
It's just there's just a lot of pointless Disney antics that they've unfortunately kind of become synonymous with, and I think it doesn't help that the last two big movies were such standouts in a positive way.
Yeah.
That it doesn't hold up the water, and if anything, it actually makes me a little worried about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because they really don't make Guardians look good in this movie.
Oh, no.
Their role's very small and very minimal, but they
Right.
basically toss them in the trash immediately. But it's just so cringeworthy. It's just I don't know how to describe it, because I really went in expecting like a fun Ragnarok like experience, just turn your brain off and enjoy
Right.
it. But they had like moments of depth that should have hit but just didn't, and then they had all of these forced jokes that just didn't land, and like they have this great soundtrack that they just don't use properly.
Oh,
Like,
that was another thing.
There's heavy GNR use, Guns N' Roses use throughout the movie, and they just don't use it correctly. Like, it doesn't have any like they use Led Zeppelin "Immigrant Song"
Yeah.
in Ragnarok to great effect, because
Yeah,
it
that
set up
scene
an
was
awesome
fantastic.
moment with a great soundtrack, and just like it was perfect direction for what they wanted to do in that moment in that
Yeah.
scene. That doesn't happen in this movie.
Yeah,
It's just kind of thrown in there
Okay.
to throw it in there.
that's
disappointing to
unfortunate thing.
hear from somebody who was looking forward to seeing that movie. But,
Yeah,
I'll still watch it. And
you should. You should go in, throw out any and all expectations you might have had, and you will probably enjoy that movie way more than I think we did with the expectations we went in with.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So, if you haven't seen it, maybe lower your expectations before going in. If you have seen it, let us know if you agree in the comments. But yeah, I really think it's a lower mid-tier movie just because there's a lot of good aspects to it that they just don't let have their moment.
They can't all be winners, and unfortunately, the ones that don't win are typically Thor movies.
Now, I will say this: the movie is more fun if you shut your brain off than say Thor 1 and 2.
Right.
Thor 1 and 2, it feels like a chore sometimes when you watch those movies.
Thor 1 was stereotypical setup movie, so I don't really say anything negative about Thor 1. Thor 2 was forgettable.
Which is the worst thing that you can call a movie about a god.
Right.
But I mean,
yeah. Thor 2 was basically just... It and Iron Man 3 were a dark time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
in the MCU.
That was, let's just get to the Avengers movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
They were like, all right, what kind of bullshit do we need to put into these movies now just to move forward?
Yeah, let's set up these stones real quick.
So have you guys been playing, watching, doing anything else in the realm of nerddom? I know you guys had a big finale.
Yep, we did.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yes, got to bring a home game that may or may not have some snippets on TikTok to a conclusion. The conclusion of a game about a group of goblins having to, survive and then deal with visions that lead to what becomes
Anti-imperialistic colonization.
Right. They experience colonization from the perspective of what it's like to be colonized, only for them to go underground, amass their resources, and then, take the land back. And man, did you guys take it back.
Yeah.
There was some heavy inspiration on my part from movies and books like Dune, and not so much Lord of the Rings, but there are some other some real world books, like having to deal with what it was like for the natives to deal with the British coming in.
Real world books as opposed to virtual books?
As opposed to virtual books. I like paper, thank you.
No e-readers.
No e-readers. Get that
Straight
Kindle mess
paper.
out of here.
Sometimes we rant about weird things. That was like the most pointless weird rant we've ever had.
I'm sorry, when you say something like real world books, I couldn't let that slide. I
Yeah,
had to
content.
continue.
Yeah, no, you really let me lean all the way into that one.
Absolutely. That's what I do best.
And have we clarified that we're talking about your Dungeons and Dragons?
I would
game?
hope that it would be implied that this was Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
But
we should probably
yes,
say that.
To anyone who's just catching on to us for the first time, the
AKA
game...
not a fucking nerd.
Oh my god.
If they're not a nerd, why the fuck are they listening to this?
We're related to them.
Too real. For anyone who's just now catching on to this channel, the game that I'm referring to is a home Dungeons and Dragons campaign that I'd been running for upwards of like 6 to 8 months. And yeah, we finally got to the end where all of the players got to kill the big bad evil guy.
Yes.
And it was glorious.
And Emery instantly regretted giving me an ridiculously overpowered magic item. But that's neither here nor there.
That's really neither here nor there.
119 damage in one turn. Anyway.
The combo was too strong.
Yes,
it was too strong. I was prepared, but not as prepared as I thought.
That's all right. You'll get me back soon enough.
Oh, I will.
That all means nothing to me.
Yeah.
They're just
Yes.
throwing out stats and
Oh, don't worry.
I did 119 damage.
Oh, don't worry. Babby's first D&D session
Nah.
might be on the horizon.
So,
Yeah.
speaking of that, there's these
Murder.
books that I got for... I have a subscription service for my soon-to-be 10-year-old. It's called D&D Adventure Club. They're not a sponsor, but they should be.
Please.
And it's a monthly subscription, and they give you like a 1 hour campaign that's very kid friendly to play, and it's like each one introduces a new mechanic, and I'm seriously contemplating like bringing the ones over to start for Babby's first D&D session.
just have me play with a bunch of 10-year-olds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look,
down.
sometimes you gotta go with the explain it to me like I'm 5 approach.
It's like that episode of Seinfeld where Kramer is taking karate with
All the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great episode.
Doesn't
That's
matter,
a
we're
great
all the
callback.
Same skill level. Literally beating up 9-year-olds.
Classic.
Wonderful.
Sitcoms used to be so good.
It was a different time back then.
They're so bad now.
But yeah, that game's complete. The upcoming Twitch stream, Those Natural Ones, is on the horizon very soon.
Yep. So
Hopefully-
definitely pay attention to our social medias. We'll definitely be promoting that as
what's
much as
that
possible
date?
once it's
Oh,
official.
What is
Ooh,
that date?
what's the official date?
The unofficial official date? We
Breaking
will
news.
Probably be looking at July the 19th for the first stream.
Oh,
So that is, at current time of recording, about a week and a half away.
And that'll be on Twitch, correct?
And that will be on
Yep.
twitch.com, or I'm sorry, twitch.tv/those natural ones. And then it will be shortly uploaded to YouTube, probably the following day, because it takes like 6 hours to download one of those videos off of Twitch.
Takes just as long to upload.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We know.
Ugh.
Anything else going on in your guys' lives? Anything new you read, picked up, watched, played?
New games. Trying to think of something. Oh, yeah. I think I told you about this last week.
Shredder's Revenge?
Played Shredder's Revenge. Why did I say that weird?
Don't worry, I'll totally edit that out.
Oh yeah, I totally. You son of a bitch. TMNT Shredder's Revenge, available on just about every platform you can find. Wonderful game.
It looks awesome.
It
I
looks-
still need to sit down and play it. I just haven't had the time.
It
My
looks
brother's
awesome.
getting married this weekend,
Oh.
so like July
yeah.
4th into editing a late episode and then into brother's wedding.
You've been busy, but soon we're gonna fucking play that game. If we could somehow get like 6 people online to play this
We could
game,
probably stream it.
we probably could.
It'd be our first hit the book stream if we want to.
Yeah.
Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah.
That'd be easy. It'd be really easy.
Is it cross-platform?
I believe so.
'Cause,
If it's cross-platform, that changes
one of
the
our
game.
one of our players, the newest player, was playing it the other day while she was watching us.
Ah.
Yeah, 'cause she was worried that her click clacks were coming through. So you know,
As
if
we
it's
all
cross, if yeah, absolutely. If it's cross-platform, then I will definitely get down on that. But,
Yeah.
you know, I don't have one of them Sonys. I don't know them Sonys very well.
Well, it's a very exclusive club. Most people can't be a Sony person, so
Yeah, sorry, I stopped being a Sony person when their console came out at $600.
It was also a different time
it
back
wasn't a
then.
console. It was a grill. All right, it was a very fancy grill.
Which is indicative of Microsoft learning the wrong lesson,
Yeah.
turning their thing into a refrigerator.
Big fans of home appliances. Also, we advertised with a crying baby doll and a cube. Do you remember these PS3 commercials? They were ridiculous. They didn't make
Why?
any sense at all.
No.
None of them.
There were, the
I
one that
blocked them
sticks.
out of my memory so I don't have nightmares.
They were like they were traumatic inducing. If you watched them too long, you're like, this. I'm gonna have nightmares about this fucking baby doll crying black tears and
Yeah.
Ugh,
it's-
somebody kill me now.
it's very strange.
Uh,
Sony just, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know
May
what
we
they were
never go back.
thinking. They still can't properly make an emulator for the PS3 because it was so convoluted with its cell processor and everything.
Yeah, proprietary tech.
Can you
That
imagine just
never
one decision
goes
haunting your
bad.
company for just decades?
Yeah.
Just
Proprietary
decades.
tech always works fucking perfectly.
Always. But yeah, apart from that, I'd been playing, much to the detriment of my mental health. I'm still playing Final Fantasy X.
For those that did actually watch last week's episode, I enjoyed putting that edit in there.
Yeah, yeah. That
Dodging lightning yet?
You only got to do it 200 times. It's not that big a deal. You got it.
dodging lightning after being carted off in a weird elephant by what was that weird guy from Star Wars Episode 1? Jar Jar Binks?
Oh god.
Yeah, he shows up, and then weird undead antler boy shows up. And
Dead
th-
antler
Oh, I
boy.
forgot about the fact that half of the people in 10 are dead.
Yes.
I forgot about
Yes.
that, man. It's granted it's been like 20 years since I played Final Fantasy X, but
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
But if you, I will give this a 10. If you think about the actual story that they're trying to tell, poorly, mind you, it's actually pretty cool. It's a cool concept,
It's
a cool idea for
concept,
a
but
Final
it's
Fantasy
also
game.
fucking weird.
Yeah,
But
it's
that's every Final Fantasy
it's
game.
a cool
true.
concept, but hey, I watched The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
We know how that ends.
They're all fucking dead, but they're still alive.
Technically, they're not dead. They're astral projections of magic, and
But they're-
that's they.
Astral projections don't
they-
have physical form.
Well, they do when you're magic. Okay, Nick. All right. Did you
fine,
think about that,
whatever, yeah.
Nick?
It's because reasons.
They're
this
they're
was-
real to me.
There
damn
was
it.
a wizard.
Reasons.
Okay, there was a wizard from an ancient society that was very advanced, and he foresaw the future that his advanced civilization would be destroyed by these continental assholes, and so to save them, he basically murdered them and turned them into magic people
What the-
that
So,
can live forever as long as this giant monster destroys the earth constantly.
So he's a lich.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, cool.
And the main character
Necromancy.
is his object, as is one of his party members,
Yeah.
and the
dude
giant
with
beast
jug.
that also happens to be his
The
dad.
dude with the jug and the arm.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Or
the,
Who's like, I have this arm that doesn't work until I'm in combat.
it's like, oh yeah,
It's cross between Napoleon and like old samurai.
you're not important enough for me to use both arms.
It's my strong hand.
Oh no! No! Oh, that's gonna haunt me.
I made this statement on Facebook a while ago that my favorite jokes are the ones that like 6 people understand because you take like two
You're perfect for this show.
completely
We only have 6 watchers.
take two completely irrelevant things and smash them together.
Yeah.
It's the best
Like,
kind
did
of
we
joke.
just smash Scary Movie 2 with the
Yes,
Sixth
we did.
Sense?
And
Yes,
Final Fantasy
and Final
X.
Fantasy X.
I mean, I'm pretty sure those 2 movies are just Final Fantasy X.
You'll have to elaborate that some other time. I'm not sure I can get into that one,
Yeah, that's a little too deep for you.
as is often the case.
Hey, anyway,
But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Why do you do this to yourself?
timer.
Because I can take the pain, push it to the edge.
So how about you, Nick? Have you been watching, listening, reading anything in
I've been
particular?
playing this awesome cell phone game because that's about as much time as I have.
God damn it.
Please
But
tell
You're,
me it's
you're
not
the,
Diablo.
You're the
No.
person that Square Enix
No,
is making
no,
games
no, no,
for,
no.
and we need to stop you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I actually haven't really had a lot of time to play anything, but I did finish the second volume of Stranger Things 4 finally.
Yeah.
Oh.
I gotta binge it. I'll probably gotta
Stayed
binge a
up and-
lot of shows.
Actually,
next weekend.
I did that the day it launched, and I stayed up until like 2:00 in the morning with my wife watching the last 2 episodes because the last episode is 2 hours and 15 minutes long. It was fantastic, though.
That's basically a feature-length film.
No, it was, and the penultimate episode was an hour and 40 minutes long. So it was 4 hours of Stranger Things, and it
They're
was
just
fantastic.
making movies.
It was incredible. I cannot give it enough positive praise.
Yeah, I'm hearing a ton of good stuff about it, which is great because I kind of didn't like the third season.
The third season was rough.
Yeah.
Yes,
Was the
but
third season the season where they had like a random spin-off episode where she went and like met a bunch of
Yes.
superheroes
Yeah,
for
this-
no apparent reason,
yeah,
and then like
the
came
other-
back
yeah,
immediately?
it was like the Hellfire Club, or the Hellfire Club of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Not the D&D. I'm talking about the X-Men Hellfire Club, not the
It's
D&D group in Stranger Things.
Like, let's just veer off from what we've been doing for years
was
into
so
this
weird.
like side project.
I feel
Yeah.
like they wanted to make like a spin-off show, and that's the only reason they did it.
You know what?
And
They
then
are-
like the idea fell through.
They
or
are
something.
making a spin-off show, and that's probably what they're going to do.
God damn it!
I think you just cracked the code, actually.
It was so awful.
Duffer
Like,
Brothers actually announced that they are doing a spin-off show that will have nothing to do with the current show because they said, we've already done that. So it will be 1,000% different. I'm not sure if that's still technically a spin-off or not, or if that's just a different show.
I
so
mean,
weird.
we'll see if it just turns out to be, yeah, we really wanted to make the X-Men, but we don't have the rights,
Yeah.
so...
They're gonna make '90s edition.
Yes, 90s edition X-Men. Also, are we in the 90s yet? Because I feel like Will is a little too tall for that haircut. he keeps
1986.
sporting.
Yeah. I forget what we were talking about.
Stranger Things season 4.
Fantastic.
And their spin-off
Oh, yeah.
series,
Yeah.
which might just be their take on the X-Men.
Yeah.
Because reasons.
Reasons.
And-
We have psychic children.
And we don't already have the Umbrella Academy on Netflix.
Yet to watch that. Probably never will.
Sir,
Because I really don't care.
sir, you are missing out.
Okay, at least watch the first episode of the first season.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Try it. If you can't get into that episode, then sure. Probably not for you.
season.
If you like that one, then you've got you now have 3 seasons worth of great material to watch.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna marathon The Boys. I'm gonna marathon the new season of Umbrella Academy. I'm gonna marathon.
That's what else I did.
Stranger
I watched
Things.
The Boys.
I've only seen the first episode of the new season so far. I need to sit down and watch the rest of them. Oh, that one scene still makes me hurt.
Which one?
Termite.
Oh, God.
The Boys. You gotta
That's
be
all I'm gonna
specific.
say is termite. You know, yeah, yep.
This is what happens, Internet. When you come up with a silly ass idea that would work,
And
someone else
Yep.
does it in another show, and you see why they didn't do it.
Is it the Thanos effect? Is that what?
Yep.
All right.
absolutely, the Ant-Man Thanos theory.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I love The Boys.
yeah,
I love the comic. I love the show.
yeah.
Just
Absolutely
relentless fuckery.
They-
Just
Literally doing what no one else can.
All right, we haven't even started the actual news yet.
that's all right. There's not a lot of it.
All right.
So, moving on into the news of this week. First up, Ubisoft has announced that Skull and Bones will officially be released on November 8th of this year for all current generation consoles and PC. It's based on the Assassin's Creed 4 ship combat that was extremely popular. To give you some context, this game was originally announced to be released in 2017, and the game it's based on released in October of 2013.
I mean, to give it a little credit, we don't count 2020 for anything. So that's only 4 years.
It's only for
Wow.
That's 4 years. A 4-year development cycle is not terrible.
Yeah.
So, but the fact that it's based on a mechanic system that was created a decade ago, we were talking about it before the show. I loved Assassin's Creed 4. I played it for basically 2 weeks straight while I was stuck in a hotel room in New Jersey.
Yep, me too. Not the Jersey part, but love the game.
So, but
It's in your closet.
yeah. So I was excited when I heard about this, and then I kind of stopped caring after a while because it's been 5 years and
Yeah.
it's based. I mean, when you talk about something that's based on a mechanic and a play style that was created 10 years ago.
And honestly, that mechanic's probably even older because it actually
Right.
happened in Assassin's Creed 3 is where it originated from. There's ship combat in Assassin's Creed 3 that is a more basic version of that same mechanic.
But then they
And then-
fleshed it all the way out for
Assassin's Creed 4,
Yeah.
and then they kind of perfected it in Assassin's Creed Rogue, which I love. It's still my favorite Assassin's Creed game to this day.
I never played Rogue. Black
Most
Flag.
people didn't.
Black Flag is my favorite Assassin's Creed. It's
Yeah, if you love Black Flag, you would
Yeah.
really love Rogue.
Okay.
It's worth going back and playing, I think,
fair
because
enough.
it's an alternate perspective of the kind of conflict that's between the assassins and the Templars
Templars.
before they completely ruined the story with the newer games and just
Fair enough.
forgot the story existed in the first place.
yeah.
But yeah, really good. The problem is they released it on the previous generation consoles exclusively.
Gotcha.
It was the last
after the new
PS3,
consoles
yeah.
had already premiered
Yeah.
and were like a year in.
It did finally get remastered though.
Way
So,
too late though.
Yeah.
Way too. It got remastered after the next game came out,
It's
and it completely redefined the systems and everything.
That's like one of
Yeah.
those games where I don't even remember it being released. That's how
That's how little press it
far
fucking
it
got. Yeah.
flew under the radar.
Yeah.
Like most games, the big title games like that, I can be like, oh yeah, I remember. I never played it. I remember when it came out though. But yeah, Rogue. To be honest, before you guys were talking about it earlier today, I had no memory of that game
like
existing.
even being a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real. I really enjoyed it. I mean, and Rogue also connects with the French one, Unity. Is that the one?
Yeah.
In a kind of indirect way. But yeah, I really love Rogue. If anybody's listening, go pick up the remastered version and play it. I'm sure it's very cheap. It's worth playing, especially if you loved Assassin's Creed 4.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I thought this was interesting just because it kind of points out a big problem in the video game industry in general is just vaporware that's always being announced way too prematurely. And
Yeah.
and in this case, it seems like they're going to finally release it and give the fans that have been waiting for it something to actually look forward to, as opposed to just being literal vaporware and disappearing without anybody mentioning it again.
I mean,
But it looks pretty cool. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailers for it, but I think it looks pretty neat. I think it'll be fun. I think it's been long enough since Assassin's Creed Rogue and Assassin's Creed 4 that people will probably be fairly open to it. I think the big problem is going to getting the game into somebody's hands to actually play it in the first place.
sure.
Because it seems like the big focus is going to be PvP gameplay beyond the basic story that they may flesh out in there. So I don't know, especially for a multiplayer focused game, I just don't know how they're going to sustain it.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
nowadays 4 to 5 year development cycles are not that uncommon for AAA titles.
Well, keep in mind it was supposed to come out in 2017. That's
I
not.
thought
when
it was announced in
No,
2017.
it's supposed to come out in 2017.
Oh well, then fuck that. Forget
It was
what I
announced like in 2014 or
Okay,
15. Yeah,
cool. Then, yeah, that's
That's-
ridiculous.
That's terrible.
I was about to.
as bad as it gets.
I was about to compare it to Bethesda, and
Oh yeah.
but
Starfield.
well, yeah. I to be honest, I was going more along the Elder Scrolls line and everything, and how it takes them, 5 to 7 years to develop these games. But the big difference is when they come out, they are these fully fleshed out, immersive masterpieces, as opposed to this, which I mean,
Well,
Ubisoft does. I mean,
riddled with terrible glitches that eject you 100 feet into the sky.
That was not a glitch. That was a feature. That was a glitch. That was a glitch that was so good. They patched the glitch and then they unpatched it because people were complaining the fact that they patched it. So they patched it again and brought the glitch back.
Bethesda is such a ridiculous company. I respect
I
them for
love
what they do and what they strive to do, but their games are often unplayable for the first year it's released.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
brings me to a completely different point that I'll get to in a second. But actually, I'll get to now because I completely lost my train of thought. I don't
Sorry.
remember where I was going.
We do that a lot.
Yeah, but Bethesda games are great. I mean, I've always been a fan of Bethesda ever since playing fucking Morrowind back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, they do have some bugs when they first come out, but I feel like that's almost a generational evolution of how video games came out, because now that, back in the 90s and everything, the game that you bought was the final product, so it had to be perfect. Now, as soon as the internet and patches and stuff like that, they're like, oh, well, if it's not fixed, if it's not working, we'll just...
Whoopsie.
We'll
We'll
fix it later. So I feel like it made developers a little bit more lax and a little more less stringent when it came to Q&A prior to launch, and they became more of we need to launch on this date regardless of what the state of the game is in. I mean, look at Cyberpunk. When it came out. Cyberpunk was delayed so many times, and then it came out, and it was literally unplayable. You could not load the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was... Ooh.
Yeah, I think...
Talk about goodwill squandered.
Yeah, I think they had a lot of goodwill that they had built with their community just because they released so many free editions. It's kind of like, Tesla... Their car, it works when you get it. They patch it
sometimes.
But the next year they'll give you an update that gives you, an extra 9 miles of range or something.
Yeah.
It makes the battery more efficient. That's what an update should do. It should make
Yes.
things better on
should
an
not-
already solid foundation.
It should not fix the game.
Yeah, exactly.
A game should never be released in the state that 90% of AAA titles are released in right now.
Yeah, agreed.
It's become a rush to the deadline as opposed to
It's
making
ready
a
when
quality.
it's ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, driving back to the original point, makes it completely unacceptable if Skull and Bones gets released and it
it's
needs
not.
patched.
Exactly. That's. I think that was I think that was where I was going with that original point, and I got
Yeah.
so off track.
It's like that thing had better be pristine on
Yeah.
release.
Yeah, I would hope so. Now, granted, it's a multiplayer game, so it's nearly impossible for them to vet out
Right.
every potential scenario.
Absolutely, because you're
Yeah.
dealing with.
But it better be rock fucking solid.
That's the other thing. We're not looking at games like Doom or Morrowind or stuff like that are a lot more single player heavy and a lot less convoluted. So there is a lot more that they have to bug out and they have to test out. But Jesus Christ, you've been in development for how long now?
Yeah. And I think Emery and I talked about this a little bit on last week's episode. I think a lot of it comes down to just the way the business brings in independent contractors for a very temporary workplace.
Right.
And so you have these people coming in and out of a very complex, complicated project. Even the directors are often going in and out of projects and managing multiple games instead of just focusing on their one main project. Square Enix is notorious for this, for having one director across 4 or 5 different projects that we'll never see, and all suffer in quality when they do eventually arrive. I think the whole industry just needs reworked in the way it manages itself and how it actually maintains teams and talent. And it's one thing if another company comes and poaches your guy by offering, a more competitive wage or situation and living condition. It's a totally different concept if you're just hiring some random contractor that some, temp agency sent you, because you don't want to pay them a living wage and you don't want to give them benefits.
Right.
And it's just more convenient for you to throw them in the trash if you want to cancel a product.
Absolutely.
It's a human issue just as much as it's a gaming, and product quality issue.
Right.
In my personal opinion, but.
Speaking of games that we definitely hope
Don't suck.
look, are released in a working condition.
Yeah, I don't. Fingers crossed. I don't think this next one will have that problem.
Fingers crossed. Stranger things have happened.
happened.
Yep, that right there. According to a recent interview with Japanese news outlet Famitsu, Nomura and Kitase released several significant details about several games recently announced during Square Enix's Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary event.
I feel like this podcast should just be renamed the Final Fantasy VII podcast.
It just happens that I'm a big Final Fantasy VII fan. There's no correlation with the order of the news or the amount of news related to Final Fantasy VII.
Of course, yeah, absolutely, no combination whatsoever.
Yeah,
It does happen to be that there's a lot of news coming out from this event,
and it does happen that they dumped a lot of news over the last couple weeks at least. Yeah. According to this, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is planned for release.
Optimism.
In December 2023. The remake was released April 2020, which, to give that context, that was also planned to be released on December 2019.
Yeah.
But we know how that went.
I mean, at least they're not building a new game. Like, they're not writing a new game. They're just making an old game new again. So there's less writing involved.
Yeah, the thing that really makes this, you would think.
Say less.
The thing that makes this a little less acceptable to me is
the fact that it's the seventh remake that they've come out in the past 6 years.
Yes and no, but also because they already have the character models built. They already have the scenes built. They have all the assets they need. They might need to polish them a little bit for a modern generation system. But you already have all the tools. The hardest part of the project is already done. You just need to copy and paste and put the new scenarios and formats and make a few new scenes. And completely ruin the story. But
I don't know how much back end goes into it, like how much new AI and new tools they have to program and all that shit. But from a gameplay standpoint and from a actual like development standpoint, you have all of the storyline and all of the mechanics and all of that shit already done for you. It's just making it look prettier.
Yeah, exactly. If things stay consistent with this timeline, expected 2019, comes out in 2020. They say it's going to come out in 2023. Let's estimate, especially since it's December 2023, that it's probably not. It's probably going to be 2024, probably April 2024. That makes you expect, even if you take out a COVID year, that this game is going to span 3 console generations. The remake of the PlayStation 1 game is going to span 3 console generations just to put it out. Just to get it out.
That is asinine.
Now, to put this in even more context, yes, there was a COVID year, for one. 2, what they did with the Final Fantasy VII Remake needs to be taken into account because there is... Spoiler alert for a game that was released at least 2 years ago. There were quite a few...
25 years ago.
Also 25 years ago. The reason I say 2 years ago is because this is damn near a new game. Story and all. I swear to God.
Nick just has his biggest smart-ass grin as he's saying this to Everett. I wish you guys could see my perspective over here.
This game has had not only a remake where we took what was like maybe the first 4 hours of a game and we ballooned it to 60, but we're planning on doing that with the rest of the game? guys.
Yeah, it's weird. I get it that the original game was 3 discs. There's the 2 main discs, and then there was basically a boss fight disc for the end of the game. And I guess for historical reasons, it makes sense that they break it into 3 parts. But it's completely unnecessary. And the whole point of a remake is to give you like an updated, modern take of the game. The first part is not going to be modern by the time we get to the third part. And you should be able to play these games back to back to back as a complete remake and not feel like you're losing quality by going back or feeling like the game mechanics don't work anymore because they're 10 years old, I just the whole thing is so weird. I enjoyed the remake. I will probably enjoy the rebirth despite the things they're doing, which we'll get to.
Can we just accept the fact that creativity is dead? And the fact that we have remakes of remakes of remakes at this point?
It's not that creativity is dead. It's that everybody wants to make their own fan fiction.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
So instead of creating
Nostalgia
something new,
has
everything is fan fiction. And, I wanted to do this with this character when I was a kid, so I'm going to do this. Yeah,
I am as somebody who frequently plays on the Star Wars Galaxies emulator, I am all for nostalgia, but Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
At what point does nostalgia die?
Yeah, quick.
Well, see, you say at what point does nostalgia die?
The
But
8th remake?
Square Enix is also making a game called Forspoken that I don't hear anyone talking about. Like, there are new IPs coming out, but they're not getting the same level of press, like, at all.
This isn't in the news, but Forspoken got delayed.
Shocker! Who's surprised?
It's supposed to come out this year. It got pushed to
Who-
2023.
Yeah, who's
Yeah.
surprised?
No
Speaking
one.
of delays.
I mean, it's at this point, I expect this of Square. I'm sorry, but you guys take a long fucking time.
Yeah. They have too many projects going at once, and they just don't focus on any of them.
Right.
Speaking of too many projects, Nomura, the lead designer of this game, implies that the Ever Crisis game, the one that you can play on mobile almost exclusively.
The actual remake that's on mobile exclusively.
Yes. And Crisis Core Remake, which is a remake of a PSP game that acts as a prequel to the original game. I told you, too many fucking projects. Those games are coming out this year with the intent to familiarize the new audience with the source material and the characters. It's almost like we showed Zack too early.
We promise for real this time. They're actually coming out this year. Believe us.
We totally promise.
We totally, absolutely, 100% promise.
Yeah,
So-
and they essentially confirmed that Zack will be a key character in Final Fantasy Rebirth during
don't
this
know who
interview.
that is.
Why? Now, it's one thing if they do it as like the flashbacks.
Or like a parallel universe, which is what they're probably
I don't
gonna
know
do.
who that is,
But-
but he sounds like a douche.
He's cool, but he's dead. He's very
a
dead.
kid.
He's supposed to be very dead.
Gotcha.
So you know what Cloud looks like, right?
Yeah.
So remove his hair and put black hair that's spiky and goes backwards.
Like
and
Sonic the Hedgehog.
So I was gonna say, so he's Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, basically.
He's
But
the
fun.
Square Enix Shadow the Hedgehog.
No, but hilariously, the one who looks like Shadow acts like Sonic, and the one who looks like Super Sonic acts like he's fucking Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, that's
Emo the
accurate.
Hedgehog.
Emo the Hedgehog. This is Edgy the Hedgy.
All right, I need to commission someone to make that art for us.
Edgy the Hedgy?
We need Edgy the Hedgy. The Final Fantasy VII influenced Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Edgy the Hedgy. That's a T-shirt.
Yeah.
All right, we don't usually make T-shirts, but I'm gonna make that T-shirt. God damn it,
At least one.
that sounds awesome.
Oh my god.
I want an Edgy the Hedgy T-shirt right now.
Or like a logo with Shadow the Hedgehog on it, where it says Shadow the Hedgehog, but someone scratches it out and it says "Ow, the edge."
Just Shadow with the big ass fucking blade on his shoulder in the cloud pose.
Yeah.
So in addition to the general inconsistencies they're trying to create with the original source material, they're also planning to change some of the locations and sequences of the original game will probably not be followed in their normal progression. So they're basically just going to pick and choose what they want to do and then put them in whatever order they want. Because we have, like ghost things that change the future, I guess.
So, how much of
reasons?
How much do we need to keep to still call it a remake and not just remake it? Or
It's
build
not
it
a
brand
remake.
New
It's
game?
not a remake. It's a rebirth.
A rebirth.
It's a
This
rebirth.
rebirth should have been aborted.
You'll go to jail.
In this state.
Yes, the changing of certain scenes and key areas and maybe cutting some things out. There's a game that tried that and failed. It's called Resident Evil 3 Remake.
Resident Evil 3 wasn't even a very good game in the first place.
Yeah, but when you take that game and then you actually cut content from that, what do you think you're left with?
Nothing. That game was not good. Resident Evil 2 was fantastic. Resident Evil 4, amazing. Resident Evil 2 or 3, garbage. It's like
much like its primary rival, Silent Hill 3.
Oh,
Also garbage.
that's
Resident
not
Evil-
even the same class.
Resident Evil is the opposite of the Star Trek movies. They're only good on the even numbers.
Oh.
Save for
it's following Star Trek rules.
save for Star Trek 2. That was really fucking good.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. That's true up until 6.
Well, once you hit 6, they just... Or wait, are we talking about Star Trek or are we talking about Resident Evil?
Yes.
Again, we rant and we rant and we rant.
It
Because
keeps
I was
going.
going to say, if we're talking... I mean, either way, once you hit 6, they just throw the whole fucking series out the window.
Yeah, pretty much. That's literally what they did until like, oh yeah, we're gonna go back to the good ones and make them again, like Star Trek. Son of a bitch!
Yeah. It's the same. It's...
Resident Evil is following Star Trek rules.
Yeah, it's such a weird franchise.
I remember playing Resident Evil 5 for all of like 2 hours, and I was like, why the fuck is this so co-op? I don't want to play Resident Evil co-op. Fuck this shit. And I took the game out and I never put it back in again.
It was like Gears of Evil.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no! May we never go back.
Which was so disappointing because Resident Evil 4 was such a fucking fantastic game.
Hopefully they don't fuck up the remake of that one.
Oh,
Well,
back onto remakes
Which
again.
remake is this? This is like
This is at least the second remake.
they've remade
isn't it?
this game a lot
Yeah.
and re-released it a lot.
Wait, are we back on Final Fantasy VII?
Yes and no.
Yeah, I think it's going to become very apparent the closer we get to release how much of this is going to be there and how much of it is going to be missing.
Yeah. So, moving on to the next topic of the show, we have a developer called Nacon releasing a lot of 80s themed games.
Oh.
And they recently announced a bunch of updates for their projects. The first one being that they announced they are officially working on a Terminator survival game. Focused on the time between Judgment Day, basically the apocalypse, and the rise of John Connor's resistance. The game will feature the original music of the series, which is pretty cool. They released kind of a teaser where this T-800 is chasing somebody, I'm assuming the main character, through a warehouse, post-Judgment Day, of course, so a lot of dead bodies, etc.
Don't do that.
So now we're just making nostalgia into a company.
Don't
Basically,
don't give me hope.
for old people, you know. Kids,
I mean, isn't
kids
nostalgia,
don't know what this
isn't
is.
nostalgia for old people by definition?
Almost entirely, yeah.
Yeah, I guess
You,
so.
you literally have
kids-
to live
what
long
are-
enough for it to be
have to-
nostalgic.
I mean,
What are
yeah.
kids going to be nostalgic against? Diapers?
I mean, well, teenagers will obviously be nostalgic about stuff.
Okay, yeah, teenagers. But
Teenagers.
teenagers. The bane of my
But yeah, I think
existence.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, they tried to, and not this studio, but another studio tried to do this with the Alien franchise, and they didn't execute it well.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been a great idea. I think they can totally do this well with
I
Terminator.
mean, bringing back IPs like Terminator and stuff like that. I mean, it's a classic IP. People are gonna love
Yeah.
diving into
Yeah.
And
it.
Terminator totally
And-
holds up. Like Terminator 1 and 2 as movies hold up, and the idea behind Terminator, where
Yeah.
this artificial intelligence goes rogue, takes the nuke codes, and just
And
destroys humanity.
Do we really need
correct-
that in the Doomer age?
correct me if I'm wrong,
Be
but
the least of our problems.
when was the last time we had a decent Terminator game, if ever?
When was the last
I
time we had a
can't think
decent
of-
Terminator movie?
Mortal Kombat 10.
It was yeah.
What are you talking about? Mortal Kombat 11 is a great movie.
And on that note, the company has also released its first trailer for the first-person shooter RoboCop Rogue City, which also features Peter Weller's official likeness. I don't know how they got it. I don't
Current day or 80s?
Definitely 80s. Definitely 80s.
It's like, I hope they didn't do current day. This could be one salty ass cop.
The game has received a tentative release window of June of 2023, which means it's probably going to come out in
2026.
holiday season of 2023.
Yep.
But yeah, it looks cool. I've never been like a huge RoboCop guy. You know, it is what it is.
I mean, both that and Terminator, that's from the golden age of the 80s where things that should have been kept for adults were clearly marketed to kids.
Yeah.
And it's coming right back again to let's market these 80s rated R properties and bring it back for kids because we really need more kids to be into these. These are Doomer games. These are entirely Doomer games.
If there's not an achievement or a trophy for blowing a dude's dick off in the RoboCop first-person shooter, I'm going to be very upset.
0 out of 10 if you don't.
But yeah, watching the trailer, it looks like kind of a simpler version of Cyberpunk, which
I mean,
basically
that's
it
the
tracks.
It's the same thing, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the exact aesthetic.
So, you know, we'll see what happens with it. I don't know if that'll be a big hit. Hopefully, they make it fun enough that it gets a good reputation and people play it. But
I don't know.
We'll see.
I'm a little bit more hyped about the Terminator game myself, but we'll see.
Yeah, to
I'm just
see some
curious how
actual
a
footage on
Terminator
that.
survival game will work.
Well, I mean, the whole first movie is basically a Terminator survival.
Yeah, but like, what aspects of a survival game are we going for here? Are we doing full-fledged like
resource management.
resource
A
management?
roguelike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or are we doing
You just lose party members and see how many you got at the
Dead
end.
by Daylight Terminator style or
Yeah.
something like that?
I mean, Dead by Daylight already is Terminator.
That's fair. Same
You could
thing.
make a Predator game like with the same engine, and it's basically the Predator.
That's what I want to see. I would love to see a Predator survival game.
See,
But only if you get to hear, get to the chopper.
come on, do it. Kill me, I'm right here.
Ugly motherfucker.
See, there's got to be an achievement for taunting the killer. Come on.
Yeah, so if you're a big fan of 80s movies and culture, you're probably going to enjoy a lot of the stuff that Nacon is producing and currently working on. Wish him the best of luck. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a little too much too late. You know, we're
Yeah.
you know, in
So
our
far
30s,
removed from it,
getting closer
yeah.
to our 40s. You
So
know,
are
on
we-
the average, just
Is this company just going to constantly be like that decade behind? Like in a few years, they're going to start doing 90s. And
Well,
then
I
we're going to
wouldn't-
have like a Friends reality fucking dating game or something.
yeah, like a Friends
Friends
cage
first-person
game where
shooter.
you gotta like move the stick with his hand motion.
Yeah.
And be like,
Oh my god.
what was that? No, that was Seinfeld where he did
No,
the
that
hand
was
thing.
that was Friends.
Was
That
it Friends?
Joey.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
Or-
mixing up my 90s sitcoms.
Yeah.
But
We could do a Seinfeld game that's literally about nothing.
Nailed it. You can't ruin a game about nothing.
Yeah.
That needs to be a text adventure where you're trying to come up with jokes.
But yeah, I mean, it's cool that they're working on it. My big concern for any developer that relies exclusively on, proprietary trademarked materials is that they don't own any of it.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
we saw
There's only
this.
so long you can go without your own IP.
Yeah, we saw this with Telltale Games. They made all of these games with their
Yeah.
proprietary engine about trademark material, nothing original. And so what happened is when their company started to collapse and they couldn't pay the royalties anymore, they lost them.
Right.
And they went bankrupt and they basically lost all those properties.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they weren't bringing in the money because they were paying so much in royalties to use the property to create the game. And mind you, they're paying these royalties even before they finish the game. So like they're just cranking out dollars
Right.
for something that hasn't even released yet. So
we'll see how this works.
it's generally not a great business practice to put all of your eggs in that one trademarked basket.
Absolutely.
that one basket that you don't own.
Yeah, so I would highly recommend that developer work on something original, so at least they have something to keep them afloat should something go wrong. Next up on the news, speaking of companies that are just keeping afloat, more or less, in recent history, Meta has removed its obligatory Facebook login for its use of its virtual headset and the metaverse. I don't know if you guys have messed with any of this stuff,
No.
but Zuckerberg has made a big investment in this whole metaverse idea, this whole virtual space that you can buy
Yeah.
property in, exist in, live in, have this, basically fantasy of reality, I guess.
So it's like a virtual reality.
Yes.
Do you remember back in the early 2000s when there was a game that came out? It was an MMO called Second Life.
I'm not familiar with it.
It was the same thing. It was literally you logged in, you played a normal person, you bought a house, you could like go to a mall and stuff or like upgrade your house. It was literally a virtual reality. And it sounds like this is basically the same thing he's doing just in a VR headset.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's Second Life.
I don't-
Second Life.
I don't know if you guys have seen him demonstrating this virtual reality, but
I
it's
have.
not even like particularly realistic looking. It's like cartoony
Oh,
almost.
fantastic.
It's so creepy and unnerving, and I hate it.
Yeah.
And I really don't think removing the Facebook aspect of it is going to change.
To make it any better.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Not only has Second Life already happened, PlayStation tried the same thing and it didn't fucking work with PlayStation Home.
Yeah.
And
There was
VR
nothing to do in it.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Like it's like a lot.
Yeah.
Like a parking lot.
Yeah,
And you
that's
go
exactly
to
what it is.
Stores and buy stuff that doesn't exist.
And VR chat is a thing already.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's already a thing that exists that people are doing without even having Meta as like the
I
thing
gotta-
that they do this in.
I gotta look up a picture of this real quick. 'Cause I want to see what it looks like.
Yeah,
Talk about
it's-
amongst yourselves.
It's
Yeah.
very unnerving, and I don't know if you guys have been following, but a lot of people have been really criticizing Meta, the company,
Oh, are you kidding me?
because of the rebrand from Facebook. So now they lost their brand recognition.
Yeah.
Their profits are going down. They're wasting a lot of their capital on this metaverse investment, and they're not getting
They're not getting anything
in
in
return.
back. Yeah.
It looks like the Wii people.
Yeah,
Like it literally
It's
looks
really
like
crude.
The
Yeah.
yeah.
the what the fuck were those things called? The Weemies, Weemojis?
Yeah.
I think they're just called Mies.
The Mies,
Mies.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
Like,
got it.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really weird. If you're watching the YouTube channel, I'll put pictures up so you can
Yeah.
see how creepy and unnecessary it is. And you got to think these VR headsets, they're not like top tier,
Right.
No.
high end headsets. They're very simple and affordable. So they have to keep the resolution and the image quality and the processing down because you're supposed to be able to use these headsets independently without a computer hooked up to it. And it's
like trying to
that's
put all of
fair,
the processing
but-
power into the headset itself.
That's fair,
It's-
but these graphics that I'm looking at on this picture was like literally late 90s
Yeah, it doesn't.
graphics.
It does not look
And-
good. Now, to be fair, I need to be upfront. I don't own a headset. I have not actually gone into the metaverse. I'm not sure I want to go into the metaverse, but all I hear is negativity about it from the people that have
Jack
tried
in
it.
the Matrix.
And funny enough, kind of like the NFT craze right now.
Oh, God.
There was a recent article I read about a man in Arizona, I believe, an older gentleman, that bought a $40,000 virtual property because he thinks that this is going to take off
the
and
fuck
be the
outta
next
here.
big thing, and it's going to skyrocket in value.
That dude just bought a $40,000 Beanie Baby.
Yeah, well, it's even
mean-
worse than a Beanie Baby because it doesn't actually exist.
That's fair.
It's a
He bought the idea
He bought a
of
$40,000 picture of a Beanie Baby.
it's a piece of virtual code that
Oh
can
my
be
God.
deleted or moved or stolen or erased.
You mean like all of crypto and
Yeah.
NFCs?
nobody's gonna funge this token.
Yeah, it's
This is the world we live in.
it's a little
I mean-
less viable than crypto or an NFT, as much as those things are problematic, because there's nothing holding its value. There's no
I'm sure
stuff like
there's a lot of crypto enthusiasts who are potentially listening to this right now are going to blow up about us making fun of crypto, but there's a bubble. There's
well,
a bubble.
it's already popped a couple times.
I
So.
know.
Yeah. Also, where?
Well,
Exactly.
I mean,
It's like,
this.
oh, they're gonna blow up at us with what? All of their completely funged GIFs tokens?
Hey, you need your Bored Ape version 600.
Oh no, not the Bored Ape Nazi Club.
Whoa!
There
We
is
escalated quickly.
There's a deep dive that
Somebody
I
should make the Bored Ape like the new frog, the new Pepe the Frog.
Oh god.
And then just all of that value goes away because
It-
no one wants anything to do with it.
It's damn close. There is a video that I can refer you to
Oh,
by
no.
a YouTuber who is a very good journalist named Philion. Shout out to Philion. He did an in-depth deep dive into everything that is the Bored Ape Yacht Club and all of the imagery that they had come up with,
no.
and how it is
That's
very
so cringeworthy.
uh,
Bored Ape Yacht Club.
It's cringe. It's
Oh,
bad.
man.
It's a troll, but it is all predicated on trying to take all of this ugly art and tie it into Nazism,
Wow.
and to then also sneak it into the hands of the rich and famous to basically make them all look like idiots.
Oh my god.
It's either the most legendary troll I've ever seen,
diabolical.
That's fantastic.
or it is actual secret Nazism that a bunch of idiots have accidentally aped into.
Oh, that was terrible.
that was pretty bad.
I'm ashamed of you.
Look, I'm just saying.
But yeah, it's just weird, and these things aren't completely unprecedented because people would buy property in games like Final Fantasy XIV and games like World of Warcraft, and then they would sell it for real money or
Oh, yeah.
sell their accounts and
Like,
their gold
yeah.
for real physical money.
Yeah.
But this is far worse because it's not something that has an established, pillar that's holding the whole thing up and making that
Sure.
property desirable.
Right.
So it's
Facebook doesn't
It's-
have its own currency to stand on.
yeah.
I mean-
I feel like this is what happens when long established, wealthy, influential people have nothing but yes men around them.
Yeah.
And they
Somebody
haven't heard a
told-
negative opinion in like 2 decades, and so they just think their recent idea is just brilliant. And
Nobody's
they
told
haven't-
them no before.
Oh, the only person who's ever told them no is a Winklevoss twin.
Oh, god damn it.
we can all watch The Social Dilemma again. That movie
social
drags, man.
The social dilemma is very real. I wish it wasn't, but it's very real.
But yeah, it's not a huge news topic item, but I just thought that was fairly relevant to discuss because I think a lot of people are watching this, especially people that have stock in Facebook or now Meta,
Yeah.
and they're worried that this investment is basically going to tank, and this is going to be the demise, the final demise of the Facebook brand.
I hope not, and basically for selfish reasons, because my wife works for a company that would not exist if it wasn't for Facebook. They do marketing and everything through Facebook, so
Yeah.
for selfish reasons, I hope Facebook stays around for quite a while.
I mean, for family pictures alone,
Yeah.
think
Oh
of how
my
much you
God.
have cataloged on
Absolutely.
Facebook unintentionally.
Yeah.
I am the type of person where literally that's more or less what I use my Facebook for is photo backup.
Yeah.
I have thousands upon thousands of pictures on Facebook, and then I troll people with posts just
Yeah.
half the time just to piss people off.
And
Yeah.
to give you some context related to that, not to bring the show down a little too much, but in 2016, my mom passed away, and she was fairly young. She's 45. And it was really devastating for us. But she had kind of gotten the idea based on the health issues she had been having for years at this point that she probably wasn't going to be around much longer. And she used that function where you can have somebody in control if you pass away or something happens. And she made me the caretaker of her Facebook page where she had uploaded years and years and years of pictures, not just like present day pictures that she was taking continually, but like old pictures of like our family from the past, that she uploaded to share with other family members on Facebook and stuff like that. Stuff that, had there been a house fire or something like that, I'd never have access to. Or if she passed away and I didn't know where she stored the pictures or the videos and I couldn't find them, you'd have a big problem there.
Right.
But because she had this whole catalog on her Facebook page that she gave me permission to cover and control afterwards, it really was a great memorial that I can always go back to, that my family can go back to, my siblings can go back to. She even wrote like personalized messages to each of us, all of the siblings. So we have that forever, as long as Facebook technically exists, and it would be really devastating if we lost that, but ultimately it's a company that has to maintain servers and maintain memory and maintain all these expenses. And if they're not making a profit and they go in the can, well, you're shit out of luck.
My wife and I talked about this not too long ago when all the crap came out with Facebook that actually caused them to change their name. And then I'm not going to get into all that legal jargon and bullshit that happened. Everybody knows what. But we talked about, and then they went down for like 24 hours, like literally the next day. So we were talking about what would happen. And honestly, I don't think it's not going to be like MySpace. Facebook is so ingrained that I don't believe the website is going to go anywhere. Yeah. Whether or not Meta stays a company is a different thing entirely. But if Meta goes bankrupt, somebody is going to buy Facebook. Whether it be Apple, Google,
you would hope,
Amazon, somebody. Facebook is has too much potential to make money if managed correctly.
Yeah, the infrastructure's too solid for anyone to really just let that fall off.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Meta also owns Instagram, correct?
Yes.
So you have a double whammy should that company go down.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, they do. Meta is Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, of course. All of that is tied into Meta, and then also they have the virtual reality bullshit now, which is so important.
Which is the main name of the company now.
They're trying to push that so hard. It's ridiculous.
Like I said, whether or not Meta as a company stays around, I don't think Facebook is going to go anywhere. They will be picked up by the Elons or Bezoses or whoever the fuck is in charge of Apple now that I can't remember his name. Somebody's going to buy them.
But this stuff is very relevant for basically everybody's daily life at this point. It's proliferated so much into the culture and subculture that it's an expected thing.
Absolutely.
When we were growing up, the internet was a thing, but you had to have a little bit of money.
Internet is for porn.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not even then, because it took
Yeah.
so long to load. It would take like an hour to load like an image.
Yeah.
And you'd get like a nipple.
It was a different time back
over
then.
our dial-up connections that we paid for, and
Yeah,
blocked
I mean-
our phone. You'd have to block your phone calls for hours to download
Yeah.
one image.
I mean, to go to one of my favorite comedians, Bo Burnham. He did a song, the "Welcome to the Internet,"
Oh, yep.
where he's basically a line in there. It wasn't always like this. It used to be catalogs and chat rooms and
Yeah.
shit like that, where it was basically you got online, you talked to your friends through AIM, and you went and played text-based games like
You watched Flash videos
yeah,
of like
and you
HomestarRunner.com.
you
RIP.
downloaded walkthroughs
Flash
for
videos,
for PlayStation games and
Yeah.
shit. I remember
Yep.
downloading the
My game tututorials were game
Yeah.
FAQs.
oh yeah
and just
the
raw
Final
text
Fantasy
formats.
yeah raw text Final Fantasy VIII walkthrough that was probably about 800 pages,
Yep.
and then you printed it out, and your dad got pissed because you used up all of the
All of the printer
the
paper.
printer paper.
400 of those pages would be them making weird character
Weird
art.
ASCII art. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a time. So, yeah, if there's anybody that's using Meta right now, as in the actual virtual metaverse world, let us know. Is there something to it? Is there something there? Or is it just, a bad idea that's probably going to tank a branch of the company?
The thing that I still can't get over after looking at those pictures for the first time now, so I'm going to continue talking about it, so fuck you, is
Our show mantra.
Gotta keep talking about it.
I
so fuck you.
understand that you're trying to limit processor power, but again, that doesn't mean you have to make things look like they're the 90s. When you have virtual reality things out there like Tabletop Simulator and shit like that is decent, good, realistic graphics, you can make something that doesn't look like a old-ass LucasArts game from fucking 1999 and still make it run decently on a budget headset.
Yeah.
I should mention, again, VR chat already exists. That's
There's already
a
ways
thing.
to do this in a much more enjoyable way.
In a much more enjoyable way that has already a way more and way better press.
Yeah. Speaking of good press, the Elden Ring player, known as Let Me Solo Her, aka Klein Seboy, has received a reward from Bandai Namco themselves. They sent him a gift box with a custom drawing of his character facing Melania, a wooden lithograph, a jacket, and a full-length sword. They sent him a fucking sword. If you're not familiar, Let Me Solo Her became kind of this iconic viral thing because he would defeat Elden Ring's hardest boss, and this is a notoriously hard game from a notoriously hard game developer with the Souls games and Bloodborne. And he beat her 1,000 times using a naked character, basically no armor, with a pot on his head. Why? Why not?
Because Twitch views. That's why.
Okay, 1, Twitch views. 2, it's one thing
BDE.
it's one thing to walk around completely decked out in armor. You should always beware the person who's not wearing a goddamn thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you're going into a battle naked, you already think you've won.
I feel like that was the calling card of the Vikings, but
Yeah, just go berserk and naked and rage on everybody.
God, that's the tale of Beowulf.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of the South Park character for the WoW episode of South
yeah.
Park, where they have like the naked guy with a knife and he's just killing everybody.
Yeah. That was one of the best episodes ever.
But yeah, I just thought that was
Yeah.
awesome that the company actually acknowledged this like troll farm
Yeah.
Twitch streamer and just
That is
gave him all this stuff.
fantastic.
That's
Yeah.
it's so good.
Legend has it, this guy, Let Me Solo Her, he gained his skill by playing against this one boss upwards of 287 times, losing every single time until, well, somehow after that 287th or 88th or whichever time, it's like it all clicked and he fucking mastered it to the point where he fought the boss naked. He
That's
didn't need
insane.
anything else.
I'm not saying that I haven't wasted time on dumber things, but you have to think about the ridiculous amount of time this man wasted fighting this boss with a half-naked character just for shits and giggles. For no other purpose, torturing himself over 200 times to eventually repeat the same process 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Mind you, it's one thing to go out of your way to beat a boss wearing nothing. It's another thing entirely to document the process to the point where you've created a legend
Yeah.
where online players, this player, last I know, is a PC player. A PC player of Elden Ring.
Shocker.
To the surprise of no one.
The PC,
PC Master
player
Race.
didn't mind wasting hours and hours,
Hey.
probably
Hey.
years of life.
Hey now. Hey now.
You're an all-star.
Just because PC games are more entertaining and you end up spending more time on them because
Here we
they're
go.
designed better.
Here it
Here
is.
And
we
they
go.
have better control schemes and better graphics than your fucking consoles does not give you the right.
I'm pretty sure that all of that is falling on all of the deaf ears of people who had their PC bricked by New World, but that's a topic for another time. This guy became a legend because the online component of this game is, well, you put a thing down on the ground and hopefully, someone else has a thing where, like, oh yeah, I'll pick you to help me in this fight.
They don't
Thi-
help you. They're all trolls. They're all trying to kill you.
They're all.
That's the secret.
No, see,
That's
the
all
color
people on the
actually,
internet.
the color actually lets you know either whether or not they're a help or a hurt.
There's ways around that.
I swear to God.
It's not that hard.
That being said, this man's legend because he actually chose to help these people. He literally made his name Let Me Solo Her because people were having so much fucking trouble with this boss, and he would just go in and live stream him beating a boss for someone.
Yeah,
That's
it's ridiculous.
insane.
This man's a legend. I love that he exists, and
He deserves every bit of that sword he
yes.
got.
Hey,
him all-
he does.
And moving on, next up on the news, Kevin Smith hasn't released his trailer for the latest addition to his kind of loser odyssey of movies that he just keeps bringing back.
Loser Odyssey. That is the first time I've heard it, and I'm never letting that go.
That's all I think of. It just all of his movies, loser odyssey.
Fake. It makes sense.
Everyone's
Yeah.
about some loser or a bunch of losers just
Yeah.
doing loser things
Every
and being hilarious.
Every single one of them.
So the new movie is Clerks 3. The movie will have a limited release in 200 theaters, followed by a live guest tour, much like Kevin Smith's other recent films. I think was that. I think he had that movie with the two girls. What was
And
it called?
one cup.
He would love to own the rights to that. I'm sure. It was some German name. Why can't I remember it? It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, unlike the two girls, one cup.
Somebody kill me now.
We just might by the end of this show. He keeps doing these things where he does these low budget sequels or occasionally new ideas. Man, that's gonna drive me crazy. Where he does a limited release, usually 1 or 2 dates. In this case, it's on September 13th and September 15th. And then afterwards, he goes on tour like you would with a band.
Right.
And he basically does like a live intro and then watches the movie with his fans for hundreds of dates across the country. And like sometimes the cast will come with him and like answer questions and stuff, which is it's kind of cool. It's like a really unique, awesome idea. And he's talked about it on his various smodcasts.
Yeah.
But the reason he does this is because he can keep the budget low but still get a good gross in return by doing the touring.
Right,
So
because he's the draw at that point.
Yeah, he's part of the draw, and in addition to the movie, and he gets to basically tour the country, meet with fans, and do his Kevin Smith thing. You know, the jolly, not so fat man anymore.
Right.
Are you talking about yoga hosers?
Yoga hosers.
I had
That's
to look it up.
That's what I was thinking.
That's not German at all. That's like Canadian.
That makes
Hoser?
that
Hoser?
yoga hoser. Yeah, that sounds very Canadian.
Sounds like hosen though, like lederhosen.
Lederhosen? No, a hoser is like an insult for Canadians.
All right. Well, I didn't see it. Shocker. I know.
Yeah.
Most people didn't, but
the surprise.
It got
of
a
no one.
4.2 on IMDb.
also shocker.
And it has Johnny Depp in it.
What the fuck? Really?
And Adam Brody.
Wow.
What?
Dude, he has connections, man.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
But yeah, I again, I didn't see Yoga Hosers, but I mainly because of this tour format, because I didn't feel like meeting this one specific date that he hit Columbus or Cleveland or Cincinnati.
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting. It's cool that he gets to experience the movie with his fans directly and like gets immediate feedback, like, "Hey, you fucked up, fat man," or more often than not, like, you know, his people are there to see him and this movie, so they're probably going to like it in these limited releases. But it's kind of weird because then most people won't be able to make that one show in their
that's
local
a very
city.
odd
right.
way of doing it.
Yeah, and then you have to wait for it to come out on some kind of streaming platform or you know, some kind of video format, and by then you've already forgotten it exists, like Yoga Hosers.
Yeah,
Right.
that format works well for very niche things, which I guess Kevin Smith movies would.
Yeah, that very
Call into
clearly
that.
falls under that. Yeah.
I like when I think of things like that. I think of the way you were describing that. The thing that popped in my head was the Mystery Science Theater tours, where they would do like they did over the past like 5 or 6 years, where they would do like limited release, one night only, multicast across like fucking all these theaters. But you had to go like on December 7th at 7 o'clock to this AMC theater here, and the fuck is the company that puts on all those fucking? There's the one company that does like all of them, and it's very similar format, but it's like it's either hardcore hit or miss. You're either gonna get a full theater, or you're gonna get like 5 people because nobody else fucking can get there.
Yeah, either they can't get there, or they don't even know it's fucking happening.
Yeah. Right. It's not like they have a budget to promote. His promotion is basically his podcast.
Yeah.
So if you don't listen to his podcast, you probably don't know what the fuck's going on.
Right.
So yeah, it's just a weird format. I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's doing what he wants and he's making these movies and still entertaining the people.
Right.
It's just a weird strategy. That's all.
Yeah. It seems like the most Kevin Smith decision you could possibly make.
It sure does. He almost dies, and he decides to go on a bus tour.
Kevin Smith, he shocks me. He's like, I don't care if I make money or not. I just want to do what I want to do, and I love that.
Yeah.
He
Definitely
literally
admirable.
Yeah. He literally just does shit the way he wants to. And it seems like, I mean, I'm sure he does care whether or not he makes money because money. But it sure as shit seems like he doesn't really care. Yeah. And that's cool. He just wants to do his own thing and tell his own story.
He's definitely the common man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys actually watched the trailer. I did. Did you guys?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Get a chance?
I have not seen the trailer yet.
So it's pretty cool.
He's getting choked up.
Yeah, got very
so
sad. I thought about the Silent Bob and Jay and Silent Bob,
So good.
third movie.
It's like it
where
brought everything
he has
back.
a daughter he doesn't know about or whatever, and he has this heartwarming relationship that he has to develop with his daughter. But this sequel is very much like self-aware Kevin Smith the movie.
Yeah,
Because it's just like the whole trailer is just him making jokes about his own career, about being a
It's
loser
fantastic.
at a convenience store.
Jesus.
And then you have like a life event that makes you suddenly have to rethink your whole existence and that you're wasting your life.
Yeah.
And so he
Oh.
decides to make a movie.
Oh, fantastic.
God.
Of course he does.
It is Kevin Smith the movie. And they even like very much fourth wall breaking,
Yeah.
point at the audience, make jokes at Kevin Smith's expense
That's
during
fantastic.
the trailer. It's fun. It's cool. It's a neat idea. There's a lot of potential for like heart to be in this movie, which give Kevin Smith all the criticism you want. Generally speaking, his movies have some heart to them, which is weird because you wouldn't
there's
think these
nothing says heart like cock knocker.
exactly Snoochie Boochies boy.
Snoochie boochie.
Let's hope that the heart isn't congested this time.
Well, funny enough, the life event that happens in the trailer,
Is it a heart attack?
it appears to be a heart attack.
Who would have guessed?
But yeah, it's cool. I think it's awesome that he's taking this new lease on life seriously, and he's using his own experiences to create just fun, good
Yeah,
times
that's
for
fantastic.
everybody. So
It is kind of funny writing a movie around your own heart attack.
yeah, and if you're a fan of Clerks, it's like great. You get to see these actors and these characters again. Like Clerks,
Again.
I know you. I don't think you like Clerks 2 as much, but I thought Clerks 2 was fucking hilarious.
It was funny up until we actually brought in the donkey, and then
That's the best part.
It's not the best part.
The donkey show is the best part.
Oh, those are words I never thought I would ever hear. The donkey show is the best part.
Those were words that I thought I would never hear because, I mean, listen to that. Who says this?
Clip it. All right, moving on. I think that's enough of Kevin Smith for today.
Yeah, you can only take so much.
So, going back to our social media conundrums,
Oh no.
this was just released and announced
This came out today.
today.
Actually, just a few hours ago.
Yeah,
Breaking news!
Breaking news.
Elon Musk, the eternal troll himself, has officially terminated his attempted purchase of Twitter for $44 billion. Yeah, most of it which was coming out of his own pocket. Holy shit. After a
Kind
failure...
of. We'll talk about that. in a
failure
second.
in quotes in
Yeah.
negotiations. The primary point of contention that he would say publicly was that Twitter was unable to prove how many real users actually use the app, thus defeating the kind of viability of the actual purchase price and the value of the company, which I can see, but I think it's more of a cop out. I think he was just trying to make
No,
a point, and
it
he's
was-
wealthy.
No, absolutely. This was 100% a publicity stunt. He never actually was going to go through purchasing the company. This was 100% a publicity stunt. I thought so from the beginning. And the $44 billion out of his own pocket was
Yeah, I think the
actually
breakdown-
stock options.
Well, it's like
Yeah.
$28 billion was out of his pocket, and then the rest was like
Okay.
private funding.
Yes and no. That's what they report. However, there was all this talk about how he had to get board approval to sell his stocks to be able to afford, or something like that, to be able to afford the money to buy Twitter. So from the second that they agreed to this, he was looking for ways to back out of it. He specifically, like, within 3 hours, he's like, oh, well, no, they can't tell me how many people are actual legitimate accounts here. So it
Yeah.
was literally like the second, it was like yeah, sure, I'll do this. Nope.
Yeah, there was-
nope, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, it was. This is just public perception. The court of public opinion. But it did feel like it was just trying to make a point in the most like
Yes. Asinine,
gross,
fucking,
like wealthy,
egomaniac.
yeah,
just bullshit ass fucking
yeah.
way.
There's even more to the story. If what I heard was correct, which also might have been an update from maybe just a couple hours ago,
Did you triple source?
I might have to go back and triple source, but it is possible that Twitter might be suing Elon Musk to force him
Breach
into
of contract.
Yeah,
force him into completing the purchase.
I can't speak
Let
about
me-
Twitter, the company, but I can confirm for sure that employees and stockholders of Twitter have already started suing him because not because of the announcement today, but previously when he talked about how they figure out if somebody's real or not, which is they take a sample of 100 accounts. That's it.
Only
And
100?
then, and out of how many millions of people use Twitter,
God.
and then they use that 100 account sample to dig into each of the 100 accounts and make sure this is viable, this is real, this one's a bot, this one's a troll farm, and they weed out how many of that 100 account sample is
my
real
God.
versus
Yes.
a bot.
So,
And because he said that publicly, he technically leaked a company secret,
correct.
which he, of course, in the negotiations had to sign all these things saying, I won't leak company
Right.
secrets or trade secrets because, obviously that's a point of contention
So I have the story
should
right
the
here.
deal fail.
I have the story right here. I pulled it up from my own sources, which I probably shouldn't get into. But this is the legitimate public story that was updated at 6:23 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on July 8th. And Brett Taylor, chairman of Twitter's board of directors, tweeted Friday that the body is, quote, committed to closing the transaction on the price and terms agreed upon with Mr. Musk and plans to pursue legal actions to enforce the merger agreement. We are confident we will prevail in the Delaware Court of Chancery. Chancery.
Are they headquartered in Delaware?
Apparently.
Huh.
So yeah,
That's weird.
what-
They would have been in California.
and this is a legitimate
Oh,
report.
holy
So,
shit.
yes, it looks like Twitter is planning on
Getting that money.
getting that money.
Yeah, there's
Because the whole
There's
thing about sorry to cut you off, but
go ahead.
the whole thing about the way publicly traded companies work is if someone gives you an offer to purchase the company through stock, you can decline it, but if you decline the offer, you have to list the company for sale. There's a legal loophole there. So
okay.
by basically saying he was going to purchase it, it then turns Twitter into this weird position where if they declined the offer, they would have to list their company for sale, which doesn't make any sense. And I'm not 100% on all the legalities there, but that's what my sources have told me. So
Yeah, I wouldn't have any insight on that. If anybody is a corporate lawyer out there and you want to clarify for us, please do. Reach out to us at hitthebooksvids@gmail.com.
all those corporate lawyers that are listening to us,
I'm sure there's a lot.
well, prepping their briefs.
I believe we have 8 listens on the last episode that we released a week late, basically.
Seven of them were corporate
morning.
lawyers.
Oh, God.
But
They're listening close to make sure we haven't said anything that's, suit worthy.
they saw that I used that Adam West clip, and now WB's gonna copyright strike us.
Hand on the button.
It's clearly going to devolve into either a huge settlement or a shitstorm.
Yeah.
And I don't think either one is beneficial to either entity.
Yeah.
And it really is like just this. It feels like an asinine
Yeah.
thing that he was just laying in bed.
It was
getting
absolutely.
annoyed at Twitter, and he just decided, I'm gonna put
Elon-
my dick on the table. And
Absolutely. Elon,
make
this
a
is not
point.
the first time Elon has tweeted himself into trouble. I mean, he had to resign of chairman of the board of Tesla because of shit he said online.
Yeah.
He has
Shit that he keeps saying.
Yeah, he has a tendency to follow the wrong path of certain other people on Twitter and tweet before he thinks.
Yeah.
And this is just another example of a time that he has put his virtual foot into his mouth, and now he is going to face some consequences from it.
Yeah, it's weird because in all fairness, the man's basically a super genius. Like,
Well, yeah, absolutely.
He's probably on the spectrum, to be honest.
I'm pretty sure.
like,
I'm pretty sure he is.
he has to be. Like,
Asperger's.
yeah.
I'm not 100% if that's true or not, but
I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't.
no.
Who would have guessed a genius who's on the spectrum, not knowing how to handle themselves on social media?
Yeah. So it's a very strange situation, and not that I have a ton of sympathy for the richest man on the planet,
Right.
but it seems like he draws himself into social media for the same reasons a lot of people, like your Aunt Betsy, who's fighting somebody from her church on Facebook. Like he can fall into the same traps that we all fall into, when we get into like a spit on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. The problem is he's such a powerful entity in the world,
Right.
that it's like with Trump. Like you gotta control yourself. Yeah. I know it's not your natural instinct to control yourself, but you need to control
Yes.
yourself because you have an unrealistic amount of influence on everything you talk about,
Absolutely.
everything you touch, everything you go into, and whether it's fair or not, you have all of this responsibility that you may not realize when you're up at 3 a.m. in the morning joking around with your buddies and trying to troll somebody. You know?
Right.
Like it's I get the human aspect to it, but there's also there needs to be somebody on his shoulder being like, Elon,
Don't fucking say that.
don't send that.
Okay,
Just delete your account for now. You don't need it.
He,
Like,
he doesn't need
his
someone.
his mom is on Twitter.
Yeah.
She got on Twitter when they announced he was attempting to purchase it.
Okay, he doesn't need someone on his shoulder. He needs someone handling his Twitter for him.
Yes.
He needs
a social media manager.
Right. That's the thing. There's a reason why most rich and famous people have someone handle it for them. Is because the shit that would actually come out of their mouths might make them liable for something.
Yeah, but this is a man that named their child a math equation. You really think he's thinking about what the fuck he's tweeting? Get the fuck out of here.
Okay.
To be
clearly,
fair, I
he
think
also
Grimes
needs a
probably
manager.
had more to do with that than he did.
Either way.
But it's still ridiculous.
Okay, if
still
it was
very
her,
ridiculous.
he still didn't say no.
Right. This,
Culpable, at the least.
He has had 10 children.
yes. He had a pair of twins, like right before
It just became public
yeah.
that he had twins like 3 months ago
Yeah.
with one of his.
Mistresses or
Well,
something.
she runs one of his companies.
Oh, that's right.
She's like one of the. I don't know if she's the CEO or the president of whichever company it is.
God, please tell me it's the one that drills the holes. The boring.
The boring company.
Oh,
Oh no!
yeah.
Boring.
I don't think. I think it might be
That would have been fantastic.
SpaceX related.
Yeah, it would've.
But
See, that's a man with that much money. He needs more management of himself, not less.
Yeah.
That's the thing here.
and again, because he's a troll, he talks about like world populations dropping.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
The week before it
was
becomes
hilarious.
public.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, yeah.
He's so weird. He's
Yeah,
it's-
like when I worked for a certain company that he owns, we used to have calls, like quarterly calls with him, like presentations, and he is so awkward when he's giving these like
Yeah.
press conferences and these like updates and everything. Like we had a major reveal, and he's like, "Yeah, so here it is." Like something that people were working on.
yeah.
I could probably just say it. When I worked for Tesla, and he did the Model Y reveal, he was like, "Yeah, so here's the Model Y. You know, you've all been waiting for it for
Yeah.
ever. Here it is."
It's weird because if you see like old news footage from his PayPal days,
Oh, yeah.
like he used to be bald and
Yeah.
like he kind of spoke like a normal human being. He didn't like repeat himself
Absolutely
constantly.
did
and-
not get hair plugs.
Yeah, totally legit, bro.
Totally legit.
But hey, if you were balling out with $230 billion in your
yeah.
bank account, you would get
Oh,
hair
yeah.
plugs too.
Absolutely.
Like even if you had a full head of hair,
Absolutely.
you'd be like, I'm getting plugs everywhere. But yeah, he's such a weird character, and he's fun to talk about. And like, I don't think you can really deny that he's helping to push society forward technologically.
Right. Absolutely. He has done amazing things for
Technology.
For electric EVs, electric vehicles, and everything like that. I don't think that we would be in a place that we are now with EVs being increasingly more popular if it wasn't for what Elon and Tesla did.
Private space travel.
Private space travel with SpaceX and everything, which... I mean, let's be realistic. Virgin Galactic was never going to be to the
There's
level
no
of
way.
SpaceX.
Yeah.
And even Bezos and his giant penis rocket. I'm not sure about that one either.
It's the cock rocket.
Yeah. So far, all they've done with that rocket is take Will Shatner to space and a few others.
And that's it.
Just for fun.
They put Billy on a willy and shot him into orbit.
They sure did. That's another T-shirt.
Oh my god.
Edgy the hedgy.
Billy on a willy.
Billy on a willy.
Anyway.
But yeah, just thought we should definitely touch on that because whether we like it or not, Elon Musk is in basically all of our lives constantly, much like many other wealthy, powerful people.
Let's move from one megacorp to another. Apparently, Google has been ordered to pay... I'm sorry, is that 90 million?
90 million.
90 million. If reimbursement
in Google terms, meh. It's like pocket change.
I'm
they
sure
found
it's
that
fine.
in their couch cushion. In the break room.
Yeah. 90 million if reimbursement to small app developers for its services. Google foresees developers to utilize their proprietary store from which
forces a 30% cut.
Forces a 30% cut of every purchase to be given to Google. 30%.
Yeah. It's pretty big. And then when they originally got sued for this, just to give some context, they suddenly decided, for any company that signs up with us, it'll be 15% for the first year.
Mm-hmm.
For the
I don't know what Apple's percentage is, but I feel like 30% is fairly common, but must...
Yeah, Apple also got sued for basically the same thing and had to settle.
And that was the I remember that coming out because there was a huge issue with there's the one channel Linus Tech Tips on YouTube, and they do their podcast, and they were talking about he was talking with the other guy about the software that the other guy created called Flowplane, which is basically like another pay for YouTube type thing with Patreons is the word I was looking for. And they getting into a fight with Apple basically because they weren't allowing payments to go through their app. Like Apple has this whole thing where you have to use the Apple Store to process payments. You can't process payments through your app too.
Yeah.
And I remember them getting sued for all of that stuff back then as well. So I'm not surprised to see Google basically was doing the same thing because why wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of running in parallel to some of the issues that Steam themselves were dealing with.
Yeah.
To the point where the Epic Game Store literally exists in opposition to the exorbitant amount that Steam was asking from the developers of the games that they put on their store. Like
when they're selling stuff for $3,
right?
You made $2.
Yeah, the Epic Game Store is a whole nother drop in the bucket. That's terribly mismanaged and buggy as all fuck, but.
They give you free games,
buggy and very questionably owned.
I got Civilization 6 for free, like a few months after it launched, even.
Yeah, I did too. Still sitting on my computer.
Yeah. I used to play it while sitting in during COVID times, sitting in the shop with all the other techs. We would sit around and play games on our computer because nobody was coming in to get their cars fixed. So we would all bring in laptops and Xboxes and shit like that and sit around and play.
It was a perfect time for
games.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I put this on there so we could kind of evaluate the value of these kind of storefronts on the digital marketplace. Yes, 30% seems pretty high, and like you said, Apple was doing a fairly
Yeah.
similar thing that they also got sued for, and also in this case settled for.
Right.
Both Apple and Google just settled for what is probably a smaller number than they were probably asking.
Yeah.
And it probably
absolutely.
avoided a huge, large-scale lawsuit that would have dragged on for years. And they honestly, they probably would have won as long as their terms of service was sound if they really wanted
Right.
to push the issue. But
Like, I haven't used Android in a very long time. I've been exclusively on iPhone for quite a while now. But I remember when Android came out, there were multiple app stores. You could get, there was the Google Play Store, there was the Amazon store,
Yeah,
there was
that was a thing.
few other. So I'm not sure when they slimmed it down to
No.
only the Google Play
Like,
Store, but
Consolidated the whole
it's
thing.
clearly they did a 180 at one point, because I remember the marketing for Android within the first few years was to be completely and totally anti-Apple and open source, and everything was free and everything was open source and yada yada yada. And then they're like, oh wait, no, we could make more money if we lock it down, so let's do that instead. Corporate greed.
classic.
Yeah, we all know how that goes.
I really don't think that there's a real good argument from the companies themselves that, hey, this is too big of a chunk, because, hey, they're obviously offering a service that is
Right.
good enough for you to accept that terms of service and be on their storefront.
Yes.
And it's kind of gross. It's weird. They offer a consolidated marketplace that reaches everybody, and that's why ultimately you're on there.
Yes, I agree with you to an extent. However, this is also the problem that you get with the duopoly. You have two carts, you have two horses in the race. So there is no competition. This is like one step away from an antitrust.
You can get a Linux phone.
Get the fuck out. No,
Or you have to
unfortunately,
program all of your own shit.
Yeah.
unfortunately, when Microsoft and BlackBerry kind of went out because of the fact that they were garbage in comparison, which I still loved the latest Windows phones, but that's beside the point. Anyway, when they went out and it became a two-horse race, their competition stagnated, and that's when corporate greed flourishes, is when you really have no other choices. Yeah, you can go from Apple to Android or Android to Apple, but it's two sides to the same coin.
Yeah, when you're the only game in town, what the fuck else are you gonna play?
Right.
Yeah, definitely true. So something to keep an eye out on and keep tabs on. If vote with your wallet as much as you can. I know sometimes you don't even have an option.
Yeah,
but as you said.
Yeah, at this point, what are you going to do? You're going to vote for the what was it, the shit sandwich or the giant douche?
Yeah.
In South Park terms?
Exactly. And sometimes you just don't vote at all. You just toss that shit in the river and blow your brains out.
And get a flip phone.
Yeah.
See, I told you we're living in the Doomer era.
It's only getting worse.
Speaking of blowing your brains out.
It hurts. Not as much as it hurt this guy, but...
All right. Well, that was a very crude way to give an RIP to somebody, but let's get into it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Creator Kazuki Takahashi has been found deceased, apparently on some kind of boating expedition off the coast of Okinawa. Apparently on a boating outing where he was doing some snorkeling. It seemed, according to the investigators, that he had been deceased for several days, and that he was likely the victim of a sea animal attack, most likely a shark. So kind of very sad news. Obviously a well-renowned manga artist and creator of one of the biggest, trading card games on the planet, at least for a significant portion of time. It's pretty shocking the way he went out. Like
that's not something you hear every day.
Usually
Yeah.
our weekly, you will be missed segments are
It's a 90-year-old
kind of heartwarming.
artist,
Yeah, it's the 93-year-old, long live legacy. Nope, this guy got eaten by sharks. Obviously, he didn't believe in the heart of the cards enough, and he lost.
Okay, in all honesty, given that this man is also responsible for the same series where, and I kid you not, there are people playing card games astride a motorcycle going at least 60 miles an hour. It's actually surprising that his death wasn't more weird.
Yeah, it's weird because it's also announced on the same day that the former president of Japan, longtime president of Japan, Shinzo Abe, was assassinated. So
oh my God.
it's weird. There's a lot of death coming out of Japan on the same day, and
Was he assassinated by sharks?
with laser beams on their heads.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, it's weird. It's I feel bad for the nation of Japan. Hopefully, things calm down and they stop losing icons for.
Say he used a handmade firearm?
Yeah, because
Wow.
firearms are illegal there. So
So
Oh,
of
yeah,
course
that's
they
right.
would actually
so
probably
he had to make his own.
it's
And
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
3D printed in all actuality.
probably.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
I didn't read too many details about it, but I think it was basically like a improvised shotgun that he made with some pipes.
Oh.
Interesting.
Oh
So-
God, that's even more
And terrible.
scary.
He's clearly a terrible event. Very sad that it happened, but man, you have to really hate somebody to make yourself an improvised shotgun with some pipes.
Yeah.
There's a few people.
Oh,
Should
Nick,
probably-
is there something you want to share with the class?
Probably edit that out so I don't end up on more FBI watch lists.
Yeah, this
More. Okay.
All right.
In all seriousness, after having lost what is definitely a manga icon with Kentaro Miura, the author and creator of Berserk, manga that had been running since the 80s.
Yeah, was that a month ago?
I think that was about a month or so ago, yeah. And just now losing the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh! It has to be very clear at this point that not only can life end very, very quickly and unexpectedly, but anyone who's been making manga like for that long, all of their stuff, like the value on it's going to go up. If their stuff's incomplete, those companies are going to have to deal with trying to finish it without the creator, which
It's never a good idea.
yeah, Berserk, I don't even know if they have any plans to do anything with it after losing their creator.
Berserk went on for so long.
Yeah.
So long. That he had time.
He did have time. I'm pretty sure the guy who's been making One Piece since the 90s, I think he actually just recently came out that, okay, yeah, I have an end in mind, and
I should probably do it.
I should probably get to that.
Yeah. Now, granted, this Berserk has nothing to do with this because it's far too gruesome to be a Shonen Jump. But Yu-Gi-Oh! And One Piece are both Shonen Jump mangas that are largely driven by this is our cash cow. Keep pumping it out. I don't care how many issues, how many episodes, how many iterations we got to do. We're going to do Dragon Ball. We're going to do GT. We're going to be Z. We're going to do Super. We're going to be Kai. We're just going to keep churning this shit out for these fucking rubes that'll keep eating it up. until their dying day,
And we
And-
keep eating it up.
and then the authors die. Will we keep eating
the-
it up?
The thing that's
Should we keep eating it up, Emery?
see, here's the
I
thing.
don't know.
The peculiar thing is that both the author and creator of Yu-Gi-Oh! And the author and creator of Berserk died relatively young.
Yeah.
That's the thing that is really startling about this, is that these are the kinds of creators that you would see maybe passing away unexpectedly, like somewhere in like their 70s or like their 80s or something. But
Yeah.
these guys were like only in their 60s.
Yeah, so, I don't want to make too many jokes about how crazy the situation is, but, in all honesty, these are, creators and artists and basically modern folklorists that
Yeah.
really make foundations of people's childhoods, spark people's imaginations, and produce a lot of entertainment and joy for their general audience. And it is really sad when they pass, especially when they pass at, as you said, a younger age, that you would not anticipate them
Yeah.
going so young, So heart goes out to him and his family. Hope all are well.
His heart went out to the shark.
Oh boy. Oh, that one hurt. Oh god.
It hurt me in
I'm-
my heart that I hope isn't congested Kevin Smith style.
We're gonna lose all 6 of our fans
All 6 of them.
just for this topic.
Oh,
Oh, it's brutal.
Sorry, I felt like I needed to say something. I zoned out there for a while. Now I know how Chris feels when we talk about Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
so
So there you have it, folks. We're a bunch of insensitive assholes, and if you want to contribute to the show, you can give us a mountain
All
of
your money?
cocaine or 40 grand, as we said last week.
No, we only ask for cocaine from DC Comics, if for no other reason to keep them from doing it themselves.
You only ask for cocaine from DC Comics. I know those greedy cocaine sniffing fucks are not going to give me a single gram. All right.
I mean,
do
I would
drugs.
think that they have plenty to go around. I mean, they're DC Comics doing
D-
cocaine comics.
Let me see your pinky finger. All right. So there you have it. Next up, we're going to give out the prestigious, nay life-changing award of cover of the week.
The greatest cover of
Ooh.
any comic book ever made.
So,
oh, man.
admittedly, this cover is not necessarily the pinnacle of
Oh, it's the pinnacle of something.
artistic talent and exhibition. However, it is great. The color scheme used is great. And let's face it, the subject matter is what makes this comic cover great.
I think this is the pinnacle of artistic, or I should say art direction for an exhibition match.
So the cover comes via Image Comics. It's called Loaded Bible, Blood of My Blood. And it's a variant by Rodrigo Lorenzo. This is a cover, of course, if you're watching our YouTube channel, you should definitely look now, featuring Jesus the Savior versus Dracula the Count in a boxing match. It's
The most ridiculous thing I think I've ever seen.
it's awesome.
It's the fight of the millennium.
More like Dracula down for the count.
Fight to the death and resurrection. It's so ridiculous, but it's so fun, which is what comics should be at the end of the day.
Exactly.
It captures everything fun about comics. The color schemes used are great, so it pops out, it catches your eye, it makes you want to grab the comic book and find out what's going on in this comic book.
My favorite thing about this is the description that it says Jesus might be a clone of the original, but even so, like, what? So it's not even
like-
Jesus, it's clone Jesus?
Okay, here's the thing. The way it says he might be a clone of the original, I immediately thought, Are they not sure?
What if it's just a dude that looks like Jesus?
They got the blood from the nails.
Yeah.
And they had to steal the blood from Dracula, which is why he's fighting Jesus in a boxing match. He wants his blood back. Yeah. So I got it. Again, Rodrigo Lorenzo, you did a great job. This cover is awesome. We love it. I'm probably going to buy it and frame it. That being said,
Absolutely.
I have to read the description here. 'Cause
Yes,
we keep alluding to
please.
it, but we have to read.
Read that
Please.
whole fucking thing.
Jesus might be a clone of the original, but even so, history is intent on repeating itself. Betrayed by those he was fighting to save, Jesus lay bleeding out in the streets of New Vatican City. His only hope is the saved, the societal outcasts Jesus protects, championed by Jesus' mortal cousin, John the Mechanic.
What?
The saved, capital S, the saved spark
Oh my
an
God.
all-out assault on New Vatican City to rescue Jesus. But not even Jesus knows it's not just the saved in danger. If Dracula activates his deadly machine, everyone in the world, human and vampire alike, dies.
Dracula's deadly machine.
What fucking machine does he have that's gonna kill everyone?
This book
that
has to
isn't
be-
nukes.
This book has to be fucking nuts, and I want to read it so bad.
my
So
God.
I am going to read this book, and I'm going to report on it next week.
I have to read this
Yeah.
whole fucking thing.
And of course, it's coming from Image Comics, who's generally known for good quality comics, even their most ridiculous ones. So
Good quality, wild shit.
I love Image. Never change, Image.
Oh my God.
You're a wonderful company, and I love you.
Jesus
It's like-
versus Dracula.
Look, if Image can give us Spawn and Invincible and The Walking Dead, surely they can give us a
Jesus
fucking
vers-
boxing match between the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ versus Lord Vlad Tepes Dracula.
I also like how Dracula just wants to kill everyone, so all of his food
Yeah.
is suddenly
He's
gone
he's
with a machine
Yeah.
that
Wait a minute.
of mysterious origin.
I
Dude,
did not
don't
think.
poke holes in
I
it
did
now.
not think this through. Shit! Now I have to go vegan.
Oh no!
Oh man.
You're just drinking
Vlad-
animals.
Vlad
from-
Tepes.
It is funny that the guy that gives away his blood as an offering, is the flesh of Christ and the blood of Christ, is going up against Dracula, the guy who literally eats blood and flesh.
I'm about to turn your other cheeks.
God. That could have been taken so wrong. That is not what they meant by Jesus versus Dracula. This isn't a Rumble Down Under.
He is risen.
That's your neck is not the only thing I'm sucking.
Am I the only one that envisions this guy as like Drago from the Rocky films?
Entirely Ivan
Yeah.
Drago.
He's got to be Drago, right?
I must break you.
Oh, yeah. So, again, back to the original point. Congratulations, Rodrigo Lorenzo. You created an awesome comic that motivated me to purchase this comic. And now I'm going to read this comic I probably never would have read otherwise.
Yeah, I never would
Right.
have picked up anything called Loaded Bible before.
Yeah, this is how you sell a comic.
With Jesus and Dracula.
Like, if you want to sell it with Jesus and Dracula, you gotta make it a boxing match.
Jesus versus Dracula sounds like an old 90s sci-fi channel show.
Oh my god, it does.
Something that would be late night.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, this is wonderful. So congratulations for winning the prestigious, nay, life-changing award of Cover of the Week from Hit the Books Podcast. All right, well, I think that wraps up another mediocre edition of Hit the Books Podcast.
mediocre.
Thank you all for watching and listening. Make sure you leave us a like and subscribe on your video and podcast services of your choice. Of course, we're on YouTube right now. We'll be on Facebook and other video services soon. And of course, you can find us on Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other various RSS feed podcast services. If you have any suggestions or questions that you want to submit to the show, you can always do so on Twitter and Facebook or via email. You can reach out to us on Twitter at HTBvids. You can reach out to us on Facebook at / Hit the Books, and you can reach out to us at hitthebooksvids@gmail.com. And of course, you can comment on the YouTube channel as well. You guys got anything else you want to promote or push? As a reminder, we do have the Dungeons and Dragons stream coming up very soon.
Another end of show reminder that those natural ones are coming soon.
In about a week and a half.
In about a week and a half.
The day we're recording this.
Yeah, it
That
should
was
be.
what, the 18th? Whatever that 18th, 19th, whatever that Tuesday is, right around there.
I think you
Yeah,
said 18th before, right?
Yeah.
So definitely look forward to that, and keep an eye out on our social medias. We'll be definitely posting links and easier avenues to get to that. You can find it on twitch.tv, of course. And we'll likely be promoting it quite a bit coming up in the next week or two.
Oh, yeah.
Indeed.
All right. Well, if you guys have nothing else to add, let's say goodbye and get out of here.
All right.
All right. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.
Penis brittle.
Penis brittle. Also, the FBI again?
We are officially recording. Anything you say on the show will be held against you.
Penis brittle.
And there we have our clip.